Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa.
Okay, so welcome to this evening's talk. And tonight we're looking at a sutta which is really helpful because it describes the gradual process of development that this practice leads us along. And it does so in a very accessible way, because the Buddha has been approached by a lay follower, and that lay follower is very curious about, how do you develop people in this practice? How do you take them along? And this person is an accountant, and he describes, well, when I recruit a new person to this sort of role, we take them through this training course so that they build a competency and an ability, so that they gradually develop, so we can rely on their skills and they can have confidence in what they're doing. And then he says, well, what do you do? How do you do this? So, thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living at Savatthi in the Eastern Park, in the palace of Megara's mother. Then the Brahmin Ganaka Moggallana went to the Blessed One and exchanged the greetings with him. When this courteous and amiable talk was finished, he sat down at one side and said to the Blessed One, Master Gautama, in this palace of Megara's mother, there can be seen gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress. That is down to the last step of the staircase. Now, there's an interesting story around Megara's, the palace of Megara's mother. Would you care to share that?
Yeah. So this is a story I like to kind of share a lot because I heard from Bante and my teacher. So what happened was that Vaishakha was the student of Bante. Sorry, Buddha. So Vaishakha was serving her father-in-law food, and the father-in-law was a rich merchant. So when she was serving her food, what happened was there was a monk who walked by their house and was there at the door. So his father-in-law just ignored the monk. He did not want to share the food he was having. So Vaishakha understood this and said to her the monk, that my father-in-law is eating stale food, please go away. So then his father-in-law become very angry. She said, what are you calling this stale food? This is the king's food, that even the kings don't have such kind of food. I am so rich, and this is such a execute, so this is such a kind of exclusive food I have. So then Shaka said that, see, this food is you are gaining because of the past good acts you did of generosity. Because of the past generosity, you are getting this now. You see, that is the stale food. But if you don't do any generosity in the present, then in the future you will not gain that same kind of food. So he became very kind of aware of what he was doing, and then he was very grateful for the teaching her daughter-in-law had given. Then she said, "I will now consider you my daughter." That's the reason her name. The monks used to call her Migara's Mata, the Migara's mother. Then he gave some donation to the monk who had come, and he was happy. But later on, Vaishakha had come to meet the Buddha and left the necklace outside because she did not want to come with jewelry and everything to meet the Buddha. So she had left the necklace outside and forgotten the necklace. So then she said, if I have forgotten the necklace over there, I want to donate the money from the necklace to the monks. So when she auctioned the necklace, she got so much money that the monastery they had to make was 7 story. So it had 8 floors, 7 story kind of monastery. So that is the reason it was called a palace. So as she had made it, that became Vikara's Mata's palace. That is how the name came about, that Vikara Mata palace. So that is where this is happening. So there is a mention of stairs also in the text.
So, Master Gotama, in this palace of Megara's mother, there can be seen gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress. That is, down to the last step of the staircase. Among these Brahmins, too, there can be seen gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress. That is, in study. Among archers, too, there can be seen gradual training, gradual progress, gradual practice. That is, in archery. And also among accountants, like us, who earn our living by accountancy. There can be seen gradual training, gradual progress, gradual practice. That is, in computation. For when we get an apprentice, first we make them count 1, 1, 2, 2s, 3, 3s, 4, 4s, 5, 5s, 6, 6, 7, 7s, 8, 8s, 9, 9s, 10, 10s, and we make them count 100 too. Now, is it also possible, Master Gotama, to describe the gradual training, gradual practice, gradual progress in this Dharma and discipline? It is possible, Brahmin, to describe gradual training, gradual practice, gradual progress in the Dharma and discipline. Just as, Brahmin, when a clever horse trainer obtains a fine thoroughbred colt, they first make him get used to wearing the bit and afterwards train him further. So when the Tathagata obtains a person to be tamed, he first disciplines them thus. Come, student, be virtuous, restrained, with the restraint of the Patimokkha. These are the rules of training for the monks and nuns. Be perfect in conduct and resort, and seeing fear in the slightest fault, train by understanding the training precepts. So this is the first step. Be virtuous. Every morning we recite the precepts just to remind ourselves what is the most conducive environment for our practice. What is the state of mind that we need that is most helpful to learn? I think it's really helpful to understand that to learn, to be teachable, we need humility. And the precepts are a kind way to just nudge us into awareness of what our behavior is like, the way our mind can lean at times, and gives us a caring way of coming back into balance. If we feel we've transgressed in a precept, it's not that we've broken a law and it's going to be sanctioned. But what happens is the mind becomes aware of that, and it begins to play on our mind. And so what we need to do is retake the precept. If it's helpful, you can come and see one of us, Bhante, myself, and just ask to retake the precept. We won't ask you what has happened. We'll just provide the environment to retake it. But you can retake it yourself in your own mind. This helps settle the mind, give it a direction. When Brahmin, the student, is virtuous, and seeing fear in the slightest fault, and fear here isn't a gripped fear of being almost hypervigilant. It's the fear of understanding that if we transgress against the precepts, things are going to be more difficult for us. And so we then have a caution around our behavior. What is it that I need to do? How is it I need to be? And that keeps us in line with the precepts in a way that's helpful for our practice. Trains by understanding the training precepts. Then the Tathagata disciplines them further. Come, student, guard the doors of your sense faculties. So in the first sutta that we looked at, we talked about sensory desire, the 6 senses that we have, the 5 outward senses, the 1 inward sense of the mind. We need to be aware of what's coming through. Now you've been practicing for a few days, and you've begun to see that when the mind gets caught away, when it starts to take things personally, your practice changes. You're not able to have that gentle awareness of your object of attention. The mind gets pulled away. What was a big, expansive, wide mind becomes a narrow mind, caught up in the energy of the distraction. And then the TWIM practice has a way of bringing you back into balance. And what is that? 6 R's. The 6 R's, now you can use the 6 R's as a stick to beat yourself. But that's not what it's intended for. It's intended to be a kind and compassionate way of bringing your mind back. So you recognize your mind as being drawn away. As soon as you recognize that, you're already mindful, you're already meditating again. But see the temptation to have a comment about, I want to concentrate. Yeah, that's the 370th time I've had to bring my mind back in this set. All of these comments, none of these are needed, because as soon as you're aware, you're meditating. That's what you're here to do. But we need to understand how the mind moved. So then we release away from that energetic engagement with that distraction. And that energetic engagement with that distraction is our attention. That's what's fueling that distraction. So we then change that energetic engagement by redirecting our attention back to be aware of the tension around our brain and in our body. Why? Because this is a symptom of craving. And we need to see that craving was the cause. And then we relax around that. It doesn't mean the tension disappears, but we just relax once. Okay? And in that intention to relax, we change the intention in the mind to being engaged, to being back into balance. Then we re-smile. This establishes a positive, wholesome state. And when we mechanically smile, we change the chemistry in our brain. There's been enough research on this now with the brain imaging and all the rest of it to show that simple mechanical smile makes a difference. And then we want that difference to be sustained. So we come back to the Brahma Vihara we're working with. Some of you are working with loving kindness, some of you with compassion, some of you with sympathetic joy, some of you with equanimity. It doesn't matter which one you're working with. They are equally wholesome states to come back to and maintain. So we've moved from the unwholesome to the wholesome. And this is what you've been gradually learning over the last 2 days, making gradual progress with. Gradual practice. So come, students, guard the doors of your sense faculties. On seeing a form with the eye, do not grasp at its signs and features. Since if you were to leave the eye faculty unguarded, evil, unwholesome states of covetousness and greed might invade you. So this phrase, evil, unwholesome states, If you come from the West, there's a whole legacy around the word evil, and it's not helpful. What does it mean by evil, unwholesome states? Well, it's just saying that your mind is leaning away from the Dharma. That's what it means. So the unwholesome is when we take it personally. And what is the expression of taking it personally? It's giving energy to the hindrances. Our attachments, that's the covetousness, okay? And our aversion is the grief. We don't want these things. We want them to go away. Covetousness and grief, attachment and aversion. And the other things in the hindrances are the sloth and torpor. It's that dullness of mind and the unwillingness to make an effort. Doubt. Am I doing the practice right? Surely my mind should be calm by now. No. Meditation does not mean that your mind is necessarily calm. Meditation is seeing the movements of mind. Because in the movements of mind is all of the information you need to understand. And then there's restlessness and anxiety and remorse. Some of you have reported very busy minds. A busy mind is not an impediment to meditation. Not knowing you have a busy mind is an impediment to meditation. Knowing you have a busy mind is meditation. A busy mind is not dukkha. A busy mind is not an obstruction. Your relationship to your busy mind is dukkha and an obstruction if you have an aversive reaction.
If you want to kind of suppress it, stop it, or change it.
Yeah. Your task is to observe the mind, not to make it the way you think it should be. Practice the way of restraint for the eye faculty. So the way of restraint. See when tension arises, when you've got caught up, 6R, come back. You can still look at something without that same grasping aspect of the mind. Okay? This isn't about making your life a grey goo. It's about seeing what's actually going on, rather than the attachments and aversions which come from past patterns of behaviour. Since if you were to leave the eye faculty unguarded, evil and wholesome states of covetousness and grief might invade you. Practice the way of its restraint. Guard the eye faculty. Undertake the restraint of the eye faculty. So come into balance. Okay. So sometimes these six senses are described in different ways. So there's a lovely sutta which describes standing in a woodland area, and you've got thorns in front of you, thorns behind you, thorns to the right, thorns to the left, thorns above, thorns below. And those six directions represent the six senses. Now, if we think like that, we think, oh, I've got to be like this. How am I going to move? And this is hypervigilance. Meditation is not hypervigilance. What this is describing is that the prick of a thorn can come from any direction. And so how are we going to respond? How are we going to be when that impact comes from any direction? If we're just guarding things in front of us, what about the things behind us? Above, to the left, to the right, below. So, what's going to enable us to be aware in all directions? Yeah, coming into balance. When we come into balance, we have no preference So then we can be aware of whatever's occurring and wherever it comes from without being constantly, hypervigilant. And then there's another sutta which I find very helpful as an image. And this is of a city with 6 gates. And the guards are on the gates. Now, a city to survive has got to let free flow of people and commerce coming through the gates all the time. So the guards have just got to be looking for things which are unusual, things that feel like they might be a threat. They can't stop everybody. They can't search everything. So they just need to have a relaxed awareness, just watching for the unusual. And that's how we need to be with our 6 senses. We need that relaxed awareness, because we don't know which direction these things are going to come from. But we don't want to be uptight about it. Otherwise we bring the city to a standstill. It has no food, it has no water, it has no goods. Okay? So we need this relaxed awareness. And when we're relaxed, we see the impact of what's going on. And we see when the mind gets pulled, and we 6R. And remember, we 6R not to get rid of what pulled the mind, but to release from our attachment or aversion to what pulled the mind. And when we release from the attachment or aversion for that object, there's no more pull. We don't have to get rid of the object.
One thing Bhante Vimana Sheshu says, don't use 6R as a stick to make things go away. So just as he was saying in the balance, use it in a balance.
Okay, so as we treat the eye, we also treat the ear, the nose, the tongue, the sensations of the body. Yeah? A number of you have been sitting for a while now, and there'll be some bodily discomfort at times. You know that if you give it your attention, does it go away? It builds. But if you soften around the edges of that and soften around the tension in the mind, what do you notice?
It doesn't feel so bad.
It doesn't feel so bad. Now, what's going on here? The sensation often stays the same, but the distress in the mind has changed. So you soften around the edges not to get rid of the pain, but to work with your attachment or aversion to the sensation. Now you might go, why would I be attached to an uncomfortable sensation? Well, I had a client many years ago now. She was well into the 70s who had chronic stomach pain. And she'd been to so many specialists, and they hadn't found a cause. And she came on a meditation course, and for the first 3 or 4 days, nothing was making a difference. This chronic pain was just there. But she was practicing and trying her best. And then she came and saw me, I think about on the fifth day. I think this might have been an 8-week course though, so it might have been the 5th week. And she said, I like my pain. And I said, well, can you tell me any more? She said, I'm afraid of death. I said, okay. Kind of understandable. Okay. How's this impacting it? How's this impacting it? And she said, well, if I wake up and I have the pain, I know I'm alive. And as long as I have the pain, I'm still alive. And so we can be attached as well as averse to unpleasant feeling. But if we fix up, soften around the edges, relax our mind, smile, come back, we move that attachment or aversion to that sensation into acceptance. Now it's important to understand what acceptance means. It means that this sensation, or this object I'm looking at, or this sound, or this thought in the mind, can stay or go. I don't mind. Acceptance isn't a bargain. It isn't, if I accept you, do you promise to disappear? And we often make that bargaining in our mind. Acceptance means you can stay. And I'll take responsibility for what my mind does with that. Okay, so we go through all of the six senses in the same way. When Brahmin, the student guards the doors of their six senses, then the Tathagata disciplines them further. Come, student, be moderate in eating. Reflecting wisely, you should take food neither for amusement, nor for intoxication, nor for the sake of physical beauty and attractiveness, but only for the endurance and continuance of this body, for ending discomfort and for assisting the holy life. Thus, I shall terminate old feelings without arousing new feelings. I shall be healthy and blameless, and shall live in comfort. So the Buddha is not using food as a weapon. He's not inviting you to fast in a way to try and restrict your desire for food. What he's saying is, just be aware. Eat sufficiently to maintain a healthy and comfortable body so that you can sit at ease. So when we have a feeling of hunger, we don't replace it with a feeling of bloatedness. What we do is we eat, and often eating slowly helps here. If you can make your meal last about 20 minutes, it will give your body a chance to send the signal from your stomach to your brain that you're satisfied. Now, what does this feel like? Well, there'll be plenty of you here who are used to entertaining people with food. And so you've got a group of people around and you're serving them food and you're eating some, and then you need to go off and prepare something else or bring something else in. And when you come back, how often do you not feel like finishing what you had previously? Does that feel recognizable? Yeah? And it's because you've been away for about 15 minutes just preparing something, and once you come back, you actually feel satisfied. And this is important to recognize. You see, the Buddha wants you to have that sense of satisfaction. That's enough. That's good. He wants you to maintain a healthy body. He did all the ascetic practices of mortifying his body with restriction of food. And he said it did not lead him where he wanted to go. We do not have to mortify the body to release from it. We don't have to mortify the body not to identify with it. One of the things about the Sakita Yoga is that we work with the energetic body And in order to work with the energetic body, we have to relax. Now, when we relax using the energetic support, what we find is with that releasing of tension, we don't identify with the body. We get out of the way. So then we have a way of using the body without being attached to the body. It's exactly the same with the meditation. As you get used to relinquishing, as you move through the jhanas, as was being described yesterday with Sariputta's development, feeling in the body begins to disappear. And a number of you have noticed that. And our attachment to the body begins to change. So the body needs to be healthy because it's what supports us to meditate. It's really important. But you need a balanced relationship to your body. Not rejecting it, not embellishing it, but allowing it to support you, to keep you in comfort, to keep you in balance. Because if your body is in comfort and in balance and well nourished, how does your mind feel? Relaxed. Okay? So, thus I shall terminate old feelings, hunger, without arousing new feelings, feeling bloated and as if I've overeaten too much. And I shall be healthy and painless and shall live in comfort. Comfort is not indulgence. Comfort is a necessary support for the practice. There are times when we can't have comfort, when we're feeling ill or when we're dealing with an injury. Okay? Then we can work by softening around the edges there. And what that enables us to do is to have comfort in the mind because it's not agitated by the condition, whilst accepting the body as it is. If we can accept the body as it is, we are abiding in comfort. Okay? When Brahmin, the student is moderate in eating, then the Tathagata disciplines them further. Come, student, be devoted to wakefulness. During the day, while walking back and forth and sitting, purify your mind of obstructive states. In the first watch of the night, while walking back and forth and sitting, purify your mind of obstructive states. So what are those obstructive states? The hindrances. Okay? They are the things that obstruct your practice. How do you purify your mind of obstructive states? Use the 6 R's. Because they become obstructions when we take them personally. And the 6 R's are how we move from taking things personally, the unwholesome, to the wholesome, not taking them personally.
We call them hindrances also, obstructions, hindrances. Bante used to say, whatever hinders you is a hindrance. So whatever takes you away from your object of meditation is the hindrance, which is that. That is what we have to do 6R.
So, in the first watch of the night, while walking back and forth and sitting, purify your mind of obstructive states. In the second watch of the night, you should lie down on the right side in the lion's pose with one foot overlapping the other, mindful and fully aware, after noting in your mind the time for rising. So this is something that you can do in your practice. So we all need to get up at about 20 past 5, half past 5. So when you go to sleep, set the determination in your mind. May I wake up feeling happy and relaxed at 5:20. And see what happens. Okay? This practicing the determinations becomes very useful in other stages of meditation.
Advanced practices which we can give.
after noting in your mind the time for rising. After rising, in the third watch of the night, while walking back and forth and sitting, purify your mind of obstructed states. So this is suggesting that sleeping should only be 4 hours or so. Don't worry about that. Get whatever rest you need in order for you to feel rested and balanced in your daily practice. We have a lot of opportunities for rest. We invite you to go to bed about 10 and not to arise before about 5. So there's 7 hours. There's time after lunch before the session for another hour of rest if needed or a little more. So there's plenty of time in the day for rest. But if you find in your practice that you're needing less rest, don't worry. Yeah? If you feel refreshed after 6 hours sleep, 5 hours sleep, 4 hours sleep, that's okay. Just get up and practice again. Alright? But don't make it a target. It's only if you feel well rested.
And one other thing is, if you feel that you are not able to go to sleep, don't force yourself to go to sleep. Just rest. That has helped me a lot. So certain times we have more energy, and we try to go to sleep, and then we put in more energy, and we become restless, and we are tossing and turning in the beds. So Bante also used to say that never try to go to sleep. If you are not getting sleep, just lie down and rest, and you will get enough energy for the next day. So I had many times when I was there, initially when I had gone to Thailand, there I used to be awake the whole night, but I knew this way of doing it. I had read it in a book called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. There is a story about a veteran who's they got a bullet in his head, and the area of the sleep which was there was kind of damaged. They could not remove the bullet also, so they said that maybe you are going to die. So you can stay over here or you can go home. So he said, I will go home. And after some 10, 15 years or something like that, he came back for some other ailment. And the doctors recognized him and said, oh, you were supposed to have that ailment. No, did it get resolved? He said, no, it did not get resolved. So, can you sleep? So I said, no, I cannot sleep. How can you survive? How are you kind of coping with it? So he said, what I used to do is there is a rocking chair which is there. You have this lazy chair, rocking chair. So he used to go and in the night and lay down and close his eye and just rest for the whole night. For 8 hours he used to rest. When he used to get be the morning time, he used to be again refreshed, and he used to kind of do his normal chores, whatever he did. So he said that helped him not kind of have any kind of negative effects of not falling asleep. So I also did the same thing in many times, and it felt like the next day I had full energy to uh, go through the whole day. So don't try and go to sleep. Just rest, and if you are awake, it is not a problem. And one other thing one they used to say is, when in the middle of the night, if you get up, say 2 o'clock, 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., you get up, you can just start meditating, and when you get sleepy, you can just sleep. Or if you sleep or you stay up 2 hours, it is time to come over here, and then in the afternoon you have to sleep an hour extra, then you can do that also. Okay.
So this is a process of being kind to yourself, not indulgent to yourself. Okay? When Brahmin, the student is devoted to wakefulness, then the Tathagata disciplines them further. Come, student, be possessed of mindfulness and full awareness. Act in full awareness when going forward and returning. Act in full awareness when looking ahead and looking away. Act in full awareness when flexing and extending your limbs. Act in full awareness when wearing your robes and carrying your mountain robe. and bold. Act in full awareness when eating, drinking, consuming food, tasting. Act in full awareness when defecating and urinating. Act in full awareness when walking, standing, sitting, falling asleep, waking up, talking, and keeping silent. So what does it mean to act in full awareness? Well, here, mindfulness is understanding movements of mind. When the mind moves because we've taken something personally, we see tension arising. So, if in all of these activities we're moving and supported from the energetic center, we're relaxed, and we relax our mind as we do with the 6 R's. We're in balance. Acting full awareness, this means, excuse me, this means, are we in balance in all of the things that we're doing? Or do we notice how we create tension because we're now acting with aversion or attachment in what we're doing? So we've done some of the exercises in the Saketa, and you've seen when you move out of balance, there's some tension. And then the invitation is to come back into balance. Well, that's the physical representation of the 6 R's. It's the same with the mind. So in everything you're doing, check, am I in balance? Or have I got this attachment or aversion, this covetousness or grief involved in what I'm doing? Okay? It doesn't mean know every movement of your body and be with this. Okay? Because if we're doing this, then we're concentrating on this aspect of the movement. Okay? Well, this concentration will mean that you keep the hindrances in check. But you're not learning in that process about the movements of mind. Whereas if we're working with this in whatever we're doing, what we're seeing is when the movement of mind attaches or reverses, is attached or aversive to something, and what that creates. And it creates the patterns of thinking and behaving, these are habitual responses, which then add to our distress, the dukkha. What we're here to see is the arising of dukkha, what causes it and what releases it. So when we let go of this attachment and aversion, the dukkha disappears. So what's it inviting you to do is use everything you do in your day as your practice, in the sense of, am I attached or am I averse? Am I holding on or am I letting go? Am I acting from a place of relinquishment or am I acting from a place of acquisition? And then when we tune into this, our practice just becomes 24/7. You have your formal practice on your mat, where you look to develop the mind's sensitivity more, but you apply this practice in daily life. You can still do your work, you can still look after people, you can still drive a car, you can still do all of this, because you're not caught up in the actual movements, but you're aware of what your mind is doing. And when you come back into balance, you have much clearer sight about what you're doing and why you're doing it.
And Bhante used to say smiling helps. Whenever you are doing this, keep a smile. So any activity you are doing, if you keep a smile, that helps with the mindfulness.
Because when you become attached or averse, the smile gets very tight. It becomes effortful. Okay? So then whatever you're doing on this retreat, you can begin to see the patterns in your mind. When Brahmin, the student possesses mindfulness and full awareness, then the Tathagata disciplines them further. Come, student, resort to a secluded place, a secluded resting place, the forest, the root of a tree, a mountain, a ravine, a hillside cave, a charnel ground, a jungle thicket, an open space, a heap of straw, a meditation center. And then they resort to a secluded resting place. On returning from their alms round after their meal, they sit down, folding their legs crosswise, setting their body erect, and establishing mindfulness before them. Abandoning covetousness for the world, they abide with a mind free of covetousness. They purify their mind from covetousness, abandoning ill will and hatred. They abide with a mind free from ill will, compassionate for the welfare of all living beings. They purify their mind from ill will and hatred. So here's the first three aspects that we talked in the first sutta. Sensory desire, that's covetousness. Ill will, how do we free the mind of the ill will? Generate loving kindness. And cruelty, how do we free ourselves up from cruelty? With compassion. How do we free ourselves up from sensory desire? It's this relinquishment, letting go of this attachment. What is the expression of this attachment? It's craving. How do we experience craving? Tension and tightness in our mind and our body. How do we release the tension and tightness in our mind and body? It's on. Okay. Okay, so then, abandoning sloth and torpor. They abide free from sloth and torpor, percipient of light, mindful and fully aware. They purify their mind from sloth and torpor. So sloth and torpor is this dullness of mind, this unwillingness to make an effort. Well, sloth and torpor is going to be around in one form or another in your practice for quite a while. Okay, some of you may notice it more clearly than others at some stages, and it will change for others at other stages.
What's it?
Sloth and torpor. So this is this dullness of mind, not wanting to make an effort, as can't create the energy. Now, when we have this, be curious. Curiosity is the antidote to sloth and torpor. How does it feel? Oh, my mind is really heavy. Oh, it feels like my head's full of cotton wool. My body feels lethargic. It can't be bothered. Have I got to do this again? And now, be curious. Go into the sensation of this. It feels heavy. It feels tight. It feels resistant. Go in, observe this. See it clearly. And in the seeing clearly, you will generate more interest in what's going on. And as you generate more interest in what's going on, the energy will pick up. And as the energy picks up, the feeling of lightness and joyfulness begins to pick up. Okay? So sloth and torpor doesn't have to be your enemy. There's a saying amongst yoga teachers that the hardest yoga posture is standing on the mat. Actually getting to the point where you're going to start your practice. And sometimes I'll see that in my practice. So what I'll do is I'll simply stand on the mat and I'll say, okay, I'm just going to stand here and listen to what's going on. And then I'll say to myself, I'm just going to do one salutation. And I'll simply listen carefully to what's going on in my body. As I take the energy of listening into the practice, it begins to transform. Okay? So put energy in by being curious and interested in what's going on. Abandoning restlessness and remorse. They abide unagitated with a mind inwardly peaceful. They purify their mind from restlessness and remorse. Okay? So restlessness, we have a tendency to want to wriggle, and there's so much going on. Don't wriggle. If you don't wriggle, your mind will go, oh, and just observe how the mind is. Hold it softly. Just observe the restless mind. Don't try to stop it. Don't try to control it. Just look and see what the restless mind is doing. And if you have a sense of remorse, oh, I shouldn't have done that, I need to do something different, whatever it is, treat yourself kindly. Soften around that. Recognize the remorse for what it is. Okay? Don't beat yourself up about it. If it means that you need to make a decision to do something different, then make that decision in your mind. And then let go of the remorse. Okay?
One, I just wanted to say, Bante used to give one thing about the sloth and torpor and restlessness. Sloth and torpor is a place where there is less energy, so you have to give more interest, which you are putting in more energy. And restlessness and remorse is where you are taking away energy. You smile more, relax more, you kind of give yourselves more space. So restlessness is a over energy, and slaughter torpor is a kind of a lowering of energy. So you put in energy with interest, with kind of taking interest in what is it, the states of mind, or in the spiritual frame, or in the object of meditation. And then when you are restless, then what you do is you take away energy. That is, relax more, smile more, and kind of give yourself more space. And that is how you can kind of see these things as a balance of energy also.
So if you're feeling restless and you're sitting, you can just rotate the inner thighs, that small movement to relax out the hips. Drop the inner edge of the shoulder blades, relax out the shoulders. Let the spine release, because restlessness often builds tension, so we can release the tension in the body. Sloth and torpor doesn't have enough energy in it, so you can come back into your center, right? And be supported here, and relax your body, and let your body come back. And as you relax and you feel this energetic support come in, you're building the energy in the body. So, abandoning restless and remorse, they abide unagitated with a mind inwardly peaceful. They purify their mind from restlessness and remorse. Abandoning doubt, they abide having gone beyond doubt, unperplexed about wholesome states. They purify their mind from doubt. Okay? So doubt is that nagging word, mind and voice in the mind, which is, I don't understand what I'm doing. This can't be right. It needs to be different than this. Why can't I concentrate? All of these sorts of voices in the mind. Okay? So one of the things we can do with doubt is recognize that thoughts are not facts. Patterns of thinking do not mean they're truths. Come back, simplify your practice. Be present with your object. Don't try to manipulate things. Just see what is going on. Take the complexity out of the practice and bring the simplicity back in. If lots of things are going on in your mind, just recognize that's things going on in your mind. You don't have to understand them, you don't have to explain them, you just have to see their characteristic. They arise, they stick around, and then they disappear. You're not in control when they arise, so they're impersonal. You're not in control when they disappear, so they're impersonal. The fact that they arise and disappear means they're impermanent. Whatever is impermanent that we like or dislike creates dukkha. If we hold on to them, we'll push them away. So now we're seeing the characteristics of what's going on in the mind. We want to see this impermanence, this dukkha, and this impersonality, this thing that we don't control. We want to see that when they arise, if we attach onto them or reverse them, then the whole of the thinking starts. But if we six off, then it doesn't. So then we're beginning to see what the Buddha is teaching us. We're beginning to see dependent origination, we're beginning to see impermanence, dukkha, and anatta. This is what we're here to learn. The fact that the mind is busy doesn't matter. The fact that the practice doesn't seem to match the way you think it should be doesn't matter. You look at the characteristic of the mind.
One thing about doubt is that doubt may come up about many things, about your practice, about how you are sitting, how you are doing it, was it this right practice or something like that. All of this, as Hugh said, are thoughts, they are concepts. And when we give our attention to it, we give it energy. And when we are taking away that, we are six-ring it, when we are depriving it of its this thing, the legitimacy. So we are, whenever we are doing 6 hours, then we are doing is letting them go. So all of those thoughts are the concepts, and we kind of, when we believe those concepts, they become real. When we let them go and let just be, and just be with the practice which we have given, then what happens is they lose their power, as we are not giving them energy. So as you were saying, you see those things, let them go, and come back to the practice which you are doing.
Having thus abandoned these 5 hindrances, imperfections of mind that weaken wisdom, quiet, secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unwholesome states, these hindrances, the student enters upon and abides in the first jhana, which is accompanied by
Thinking and
examining thought, with joy and happiness. We have alternative translations for the words here. I haven't got them in here. Born of seclusion. With the stilling of thinking and applying thought, the student enters upon and abides in the second jhana. So here we're relinquishing from thinking and applying thought.
It's the same thing as we did yesterday.
Yeah. Which has self-confidence and singleness of mind without applied and sustained thought or thinking and examining thought, with happiness and joy born of collectedness, with the fading away as well of this joy. The student abides in equanimity and is mindful and fully aware, still feeling pleasure with the body. The student enters upon and abides in the third jhana. So at this stage, any discomfort in the body disappears. The body is simply at ease. Okay. On account of which the noble ones announce, the student has a pleasant abiding who has equanimity and is mindful. So this is a really pleasant place, third jhana. The body feels very comfortable, very at ease. Okay. With the abandoning of pleasure and pain, with the previous disappearance of happiness and joy, the student enters upon and abides in the fourth jhana, which is neither pain nor pleasure. So now we're releasing or relinquishing even that pleasant sensation, because we have no sensation in the body now. The body essentially disappears. So pleasant or unpleasant feeling is not there. And it has purity of mindfulness due to equanimity. So we're gradually moving through this process by an act of relinquishment, not as an act of holding on to things as they become available. And this is very important, because we're moving in the direction of relinquishing more and more and more. And the whole progression, as you saw from the Sutta with Sariputta, is a progression of relinquishment, of abandoning. And this is the opposite of what we know in daily life. We're often derided for relinquishing things and rewarded for acquiring them. Okay? And we can feel that our progress is measured by our acquisitions. But the progress in TWIM and Keto is measured by our relinquishment. It's the other way round. This is my instruction, Ramin, for those students who are in the higher training, whose minds have not yet attained the goal, who abide aspiring to the supreme security from bondage. But these things conduce both to a pleasant abiding, here and now, and to mindfulness and full awareness for those students who are arahants with taints destroyed, who have lived the holy life, done what had to be done, laid down the burden, reached their own goal, destroyed the fetters of being, and are completely liberated through final knowledge. So, this process, not only does it lead to spiritual expansion and understanding and ultimately release, but it is also conducive to a pleasant abiding. Because if we get into this capacity and awareness to relinquish away from what we hold on to, and we're holding on to things because we are attached or averse to them, then what the Buddha says is we have a pleasant abiding. Then we begin to move through life with a different sense of ease. Not because our life becomes easy, but because we have a different relationship to its challenges and difficulties. And that brings a sense of ease. Remember, when we 6R, we're not getting rid of the uncomfortable, or the unwanted, or the distracting. What we're doing is changing our relationship to the uncomfortable, the unwanted, or the distracting. And in changing our relationship, we release from dukkha. Sukha, the opposite of dukkha, is not a place where we have no challenges. It's a place where our relationship to the challenges are ones of acceptance and ease. Acceptance is not being complacent. It doesn't mean we don't try to make a change if it's necessary. But we're not caught up on the need for the change to be successful in order to be in balance. Because the stuff out there is not under our control. The stuff in here can be, if we develop. And that's the development the Buddha is talking about. When this was said, the Brahmin Ganaka Moggallana asked the Blessed One, when Master Gotama's disciples are thus advised and instructed by him, do they all attain Nibbana, the ultimate goal, or do some not attain it? When Brahmin, they are thus advised and instructed by me, some of my disciples attain Nibbana, the ultimate goal, and some do not attain it. Master Gotama, since Nibbana exists, and the path leading to Nibbana exists, and Master Gotama is present as the guide, what is the cause, the reason why, when Master Gotama's disciples are thus advised and instructed by him, some of them attain Nibbana, the ultimate goal, and some do not attain it? As to that, Brahmin, I will ask you a question in return. Answer it as you choose. What do you think, Brahmin? Are you familiar with the road leading to Rajagaha, which was a big city some distance away? Yes, Master Gotama, I am familiar with the road leading to Rajagaha. What do you think, Brahmin? Suppose a man came who wanted to go to Rajagaha, and he approached you and said, Venerable Sir, I want to go to Rajagaha. Show me the road to Rajagaha. Then you told him, Now, good man, this road goes to Rajagaha. Follow it for a while, and you will see a certain village. Go a little further, and you will see a certain town. Go a little further, and you will see Rajagaha with its lovely parks, groves, meadows, and ponds. Then, having been thus advised and instructed by you, he would take a wrong road and would go to the west. Then a second man came who wanted to go to Rajagaha, and he approached you and said, Venerable Sir, I want to go to Rajagaha. Show me the road to Rajagaha. Then you told him, Now, good man, this road goes to Rajagaha. Follow it for a while, and you will see Rajagaha with its lovely parks, groves, meadows, and ponds. Then, having been thus advised and instructed by you, you would arrive safely at Rajagaha. Now, Brahmin, since Rajagaha exists, and the path leading to Rajagaha exists, and you are present as the guide, what is the cause and reason why, when those men have been thus advised and instructed by you, one man takes the wrong road and goes to the west, and one arrives safely in Rajagaha? What can I do about that, Master Gotama? I am one who shows the way. So too, Brahmin, Nibbana exists, the path exists. I am present as the guide, yet when my disciples have been thus advised and instructed by me, some of them attained Nibbana, the ultimate goal, and some did not attain it. What can I do about that, Brahmin? The Tathagata is one who shows the way. When this was said, the Brahmin said to the Blessed One, There are persons who are faithless and have gone forth from the home life into homelessness, not out of faith, but seeking a livelihood, who are fraudulent, deceitful, treacherous, haughty, hollow, personally vain, rough-tongued, loose-tongued, unguarded in their sense faculties, immoderate in eating, undevoted to wakefulness, unconcerned with reclusion, not greatly respectful of training, luxurious, careless, leaders in backsliding, neglectful of seclusion, lazy, wanting in energy, unmindful, not fully aware, unconcentrated, with straying minds, devoid of wisdom, drivellers. Master Gotama does not dwell together with these. But there are clansmen who have gone forth out of faith from the home life into homelessness, who are not fortunate, deceitful, treacherous, haughty, hollow, personally vain, rough-tongued, and loose-spoken, who are guarded in their senses, in their sense faculties, moderate in eating, devoted to wakefulness, concerned with reclusion, greatly respectful of training, not luxurious or careless, who are keen to avoid backsliding, leaders in seclusion, energetic, resolute, established in mindfulness, fully aware, collected with unified minds, possessing wisdom, not drivellers. Master Gotama dwells together with these. Just as black orris root is reckoned as the best of root perfumes, and red sandalwood is reckoned as the best of wood perfumes, and jasmine is reckoned as the best of flower perfumes, so too Master Gotama. Master Gotama's advice is supreme among the teachings of today. Magnificent Master Gotama, magnificent Master Gotama. Master Gotama has made the Dharma clear in many ways, as though he were turning upright what had been overturned, revealing what was hidden, showing the way to one who was lost, or holding up a lamp in the dark for those with eyesight to see forms. I go to the Master Gotama for refuge, to the Dharma and to the Sangha of Bhikkhus. Let Master Gotama remember me as a lay follower who has gone to him for refuge for life. So that's the end of the sutta.
I just wanted to kind of reiterate the address kind of thing which he asks for. The Buddha says the question like I give somebody gives an address to you, but if you don't follow the path of the address, then you will not reach the destination. So in the same way, what we can do as guides is give you the guidance. and you have to follow the path. If we ask you to do 6 hours, but you are kind of not ignoring that, we ask you to smile, relax, but you are wanting to put in too much energy, then the results will be different. Okay, so follow the instructions, and instructions will take you. There are many questions which are there. Don't try to kind of resolve it in one day. What you have is only the present. So what arises in the present, resolve what is arising in the present, and rest of the it will take care of itself. So you do this, and whatever is the result is this. It will happen on its own. So you follow the process and keep on kind of doing the instructions which are given. So some have changed their practice, some have gone into different practices. So just be with that practice, and you will see that there will be a lot of understanding which is coming automatically by seeing your mind, seeing the movements of the mind. And you say, oh, I understand this now. Oh, I understand what was told in this talk. So all those things will come up. So that you will feel more and more in line. We'll share the numbers. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space on earth, devas and manas of mighty power, share the spirit of ours. May the Lord protect the justice for the sake of others.